Iraqi Dinar Professional News brings you another exclusive update that has been sending shockwaves across the global financial community and among all those watching closely for the long-anticipated revaluation of the Iraqi Dinar and the Vietnamese Dong. Today's breaking news is centered around the reported confirmation of Tier 4B activation and the stunning developments suggesting that payouts are finally rolling in. For years, the Dinar and Dong investment communities have been waiting for this very moment, a moment many described as mythical or impossible, yet signs now point to this becoming a reality in real time. This news is not just exciting for those directly involved, but also for the financial landscape worldwide, as a successful revaluation and tiered payout system could trigger ripple effects across global markets, debt restructuring, and currency rebalancing at levels never before witnessed in modern history. The term Tier 4B has been discussed extensively in private forums, investor chat rooms, and by insiders claiming connections with banking elites and governmental institutions. For clarity, Tier 4B refers to a select group of currency holders, private investors, groups, and individuals who are expected to be processed before the public tier, but after higher institutional and government levels. This group has been called the Internet Group, representing those who have been educated enough to follow, and understand the nuances of the RV revaluation and GCR global currency reset process. For years, they were told they would be informed once activation occurred, and now, reports suggest Tier 4B is officially underway. Bank insiders across various regions, particularly in the United States, the Middle East, and Asia, have allegedly confirmed that redemption centers have been activated, contracts signed, and appointments quietly taking place. While much of this information remains behind closed doors, leaks are suggesting that initial payouts are being processed and the values being reported are nothing short of breathtaking. Numbers tied to the Iraqi Dinar are reaching historical highs, and the Vietnamese Dong, long regarded as a sleeper currency in the revaluation scenario, is finally catching attention with exchange rates that surpass even the most optimistic projections discussed years ago. The buzz is not limited to investors alone. Financial analysts, though cautious in their public statements, are monitoring these movements very carefully. The possibility of an RV becoming reality means a shift in how global debt, trade, and wealth distribution will function in the coming decades. Many governments have resisted acknowledging the RV publicly because of the implications: massive wealth transfers, exposure of corruption tied to fiat manipulation, and the recalibration of economies reliant on artificially suppressed currencies. Yet, as the Tier 4B activation progresses, silence is becoming harder to maintain, and more credible sources are willing to put their reputations on the line by confirming the developments unfolding behind the scenes. For those new to this conversation, the Iraqi Dinar has long been considered undervalued since the fall of Saddam Hussein's regime and the subsequent restructuring of Iraq's political and financial system. Once a strong and respected currency in the Middle East, sanctions and war caused the dinar to plummet in value. Investors speculated for years that as Iraq rebuilt its economy thanks to vast oil reserves, international trade opportunities, and foreign investment, the dinar would eventually rise to reflect its true market potential. Similarly, the Vietnamese Dong has been artificially suppressed for decades, and many saw it as a prime candidate for dramatic revaluation under a global economic reset. The current news of Tier 4B's activation and payouts rolling in is the culmination of those long-standing beliefs. Insiders claim that payouts are being handled carefully to avoid panic, with redemption centers working quietly under strict non-disclosure agreements. Exchange rates reported privately are significantly higher than the official market rates, suggesting the existence of a multi-tiered payout structure. For example, while public forex rates may show little change, Tier 4B investors are allegedly exchanging at historic highs, sometimes many multiples above what was ever expected. This structure allows governments and global institutions to manage the process without destabilizing public markets overnight. One critical factor to understand is that this process is not merely about a currency exchange, it represents a larger rebalancing of global wealth. Many call it the global currency reset, which envisions a system where currencies reflect fair value based on assets, natural resources, and economic potential rather than being artificially manipulated by central banks and elite financial interests. The dinar and dong are at the forefront because they symbolize to economies with vast resources and potential, but suppressed by years of war, sanctions, and global control mechanisms. Now, with Tier 4B activation underway, the narrative of financial freedom and wealth redistribution is becoming more tangible. Reports are also coming in that humanitarian projects are being tied directly to the RV process. Many Tier 4B participants were informed they would be asked to allocate portions of their exchange proceeds to projects designed to rebuild communities, provide infrastructure, enhance technology, and support global development goals. This is not merely a wealth grab for private investors, but is being structured as a way to fund the rebuilding of societies across the globe. Bank insiders have hinted that project funding has been a significant factor in finalizing the RV process, ensuring that wealth is not squandered, but instead channeled into efforts that benefit humanity. The psychological impact of this news cannot be underestimated. For years, skeptics dismissed the RV as a conspiracy or a pipe dream fueled by false prophets and internet rumors. However, the confirmation of Tier 4B activation is shifting that narrative dramatically. Investors who held onto their currency despite ridicule and doubt are now being vindicated, and the financial community is being forced to reassess its skepticism. This vindication carries emotional weight, especially for ordinary people who invested their limited savings in hopes of securing a brighter future. To them, the news of payouts rolling in is not just financial, it is deeply personal and life-changing. Markets are already beginning to react subtly. Precious metals are showing signs of increased activity as investors hedge against potential volatility caused by the RV ripple effect. Cryptocurrencies, often viewed as alternative stores of wealth, are also experiencing fluctuations as speculators attempt to predict how a currency reset could interact with blockchain technologies. Meanwhile, banks are quietly preparing for liquidity shifts that will accompany large-scale currency exchanges, with some insiders reporting that cash-in processes are already in motion under controlled environments. The audit is also crucial to understand the geopolitical implications. A revalued Iraqi dinar would position Iraq as a central financial player in the Middle East, potentially rivaling traditional economic hubs in the region. With its vast oil wealth and reconstruction plans, Iraq's stronger currency could stabilize its economy and draw unprecedented levels of foreign investment. Similarly, Vietnam, with its rapid industrial growth and strategic geopolitical position in Asia, could become a powerhouse if the dong rises significantly in value. Both nations stand to transform their regional and global influence as a result of this revaluation, and Tier 4B participants are the first to taste the benefits of this transformation. Skeptics still exist, of course, and not every report has been independently verified. Critics argue that, until public forex rates reflect these changes, caution must be exercised in accepting the news at face value. However, the consistency of leaks, the increasing number of insider confirmations, and the mounting evidence of redemption center activity suggests that this is no longer mere speculation. While the general public may not see the effects immediately, the mechanisms of change are already in motion, and Tier 4B's activation is proof of that. What comes next will be closely watched. The timeline for when the broader public will have access to exchange opportunities remains unclear, but many expect it to follow soon after Tier 4B completes its rollout. Once larger segments of the population become aware of the new values, the impact could be enormous, potentially leading to a reshaping of wealth distribution worldwide. This is why the process has been so carefully guarded and rolled out in phases, ensuring stability and control. Iraqi Dinar Professional News will continue to follow this story as it develops, providing updates on confirmed payouts, redemption center activity, and insider reports that shed light on what is truly happening behind the scenes. This is a historic moment, not just for those who invested in the dinar and dong, but for anyone who believes in financial justice, fairness, and the idea that suppressed economies deserve a chance to rise again. To summarize, Tier 4B activation has been confirmed, payouts are rolling in, and the dinar and dong are hitting all-time highs in exchange rates for those privileged to be part of the process. This marks the beginning of what could be one of the most significant financial events of our lifetime, a turning point that redefines global currency values and sets the stage for a new economic era. Investors are celebrating, skeptics are reconsidering, and the world is watching as history unfolds before our eyes. As always, stay tuned to Iraqi Dinar Prophecy.